Hello, this is Mr. Molo on lesson 10.2, complementary and supplementary angles. The main idea for this lesson is to know the difference between supplementary and complementary angles. And here are the two definitions that we need to know. So a complementary angle is two angles that add up to 90 degrees. It exactly has to be 90 degrees and it can only be two angles. Supplementary, kind of the same thing. It's two angles again, except this time they have to add up to 180 degrees. And it exactly has to be 90 degrees for complementary and exactly has to be 180 degrees for supplementary. So we'll see some examples on this slide. So there's two angles. One is 58 degrees, one is 32 degrees. If you add those up, you do get 90 degrees. And that's what it looks like when you put those two angles together, and it is exactly a 90-degree angle. Alright, so on this page, let's try and find the complementary angles. So right here we have a 64 and a 26. That does add up to 90. So that is going to be a complementary angle. Over here we have 135 and 45. That is going to be way bigger than 90, so it is not going to be a complementary angle. Over here we have a 30, a 30, and a 30. Even though that does add up to 90, if you remember our definition, it could only be two angles. So that has three angles, so that is not going to be a complementary angle. And if we go down here, we have a 45, a 90, and a 45. That is going to be more than 90 degrees, so it is not a complementary angle. And then if we go to this last one here, we have 38 and 52, which does add up to 90, so it is going to be a complementary angle. Once we go to the next slide, we can check our work. And like we said, the two angles that did add up to 90 are complementary. These two in the top right corner and bottom left corner that were more than 90 did not. This one was a little tricky in the middle because it did add up to 90, but it was three angles and not two. So it's still not a complementary angle. Alright, on this slide they want us to find the missing angle. So we know it's a complementary angle, and we know that the complementary angles add up to 90 degrees. So if I go and I find that one angle is 53, then I know that the other side, or the other measure of the other angle, has to be 20 or 37. Okay. When I go to this next one, I have an angle that is 16. So that means I know that the other side, 90 minus 16, is going to give me 74. Okay. And then this last one down here, I have 27, and 90 minus 27 is going to give me 63. Okay, fitting in all my complementary angles. Alright, next is supplementary angles. Remember from the first couple seconds, supplementary angles have to add up to 180 degrees. So here I have 139 and a 41, so that would be 180 degrees. If I add them up, they would make a straight line. So these are supplementary angles. Alright, kind of like that first slide, we need to find the supplementary angles now. And if we remember from the first one, 64 and 26 does not add up to, or adds up to 90 degrees, not 180 degrees. So this one is not going to be a supplementary angle. The same thing with over here. This is going to be 45 plus 90 plus 45, which does add up to 190 degrees, but is not 2 degrees. It is three measurements. So since it's three measurements, it doesn't count. It is not a supplementary angle. 135 plus 45 does give us 180 degrees, so that one is going to be supplementary. 118 plus 62 does give us 180 degrees. It is going to be supplementary. 128 plus 52 does give us 180 degrees, so it is going to be supplementary. And there's our checking us our work. Those three were supplementary and those two were not complementary. Alright, and then the same thing on this slide, figuring out which the measure of the missing angle. All right, so if I have 121 degrees and I need to find, and I know it's 180 degrees total, well then I know 180 minus 121 is going to give us our answer, and 180 minus 121 is going to give us 59 degrees. All right, over here 78, and this angle needs to be add up to 180, so I know it's going to be 102 degrees. All right, and that is pretty much our lesson for complementary and supplementary angles.